Former Steelers All-Pro linebacker James Harrison said that head coach Mike Tomlin handed him an envelope after delivering a hard hit on a Browns receiver in 2010. Harrison was initially fined $75,000 for the hit, but it was later reduced to $50,000. Harrison's agent has denied this, and guys, even Steelers president Art Rooney is denying that this ever happened. Shannon, what's your reaction to the story?
Well, hell, it might have been an envelope from the NFL office. Say, here you go. They said it to me. They got the wrong address. And so I'm just handing it to you. Skip, obviously, this is not a good look because the way it's being portrayed is that it was money for a hard hit, which can be construed as a bounty. And Sean Payton talked about this as like, I lost the season for this. And, so it's not a good look for the Steelers, and this is why they're knocking it down. The agent has tried to knock it down. And for me, and James knows better. He knows how this is going to be construed. He knows this, and this was over 10 years ago. So to bring this up and the NFL go back and look at this and might retroactively do something because there's precedent here, Skip. You cannot pay someone outside of their salary to injure, to do something extra that outside of the scope of what you would normally get paid for. And, Skip, they did away with bounties because they used to be very prevalent. You cover the NFL long enough, you know they would put a bounty out on anybody. Buddy Ryan put a bounty out on the kicker for Dallas, Skip. Yeah. And you remember he kicked it off and they like to knock him out of the game. Sure. So it was very prevalent. Even when I came into the league, Skip, they put a bounty on people. And that was the thing, but they've done away with that. And for James to bring that back up now, I don't see a reason or what good could come out of that.
Okay, I hear that, but you know James. I know James because he's on our show a lot as a contributor. Yep. Mm-hmm. I like James Harrison. I believe in James Harrison, in his insight into defensive strategy and mentality, and in him telling truth. Yeah. I tend to believe this happened. I don't know that it happened, but I don't think James Harrison would just flat out make it up. It's too big a thing just to make up. Now, you can argue about why bring it up now. It does what good, how, why. You got me. But remember, he's talked about that hit on Massaquoi on our show before. And he's made the point that's sort of a bittersweetly funny point that if I'd known I was going to get fined $75,000 for that hit, I wouldn't have hit him with about 50% of what I had. He said he was just trying to dislodge the football, wasn't going after him, was not trying to hurt him in any way, shape, or form. He actually said on the podcast that some receivers on other teams had come to him in pregame warm-ups and said, hey, I'll shoot you a little something if you'll hit me up high instead of down low. The receivers, as you know, Shannon, being one yourself, you were most fearful of your knees, not your head at that point in time. Nobody cared as much about your head as you did about your money makers, your knees. Your knee goes, you might be gone for good. So that's true. James is saying, I'm trying to go higher for the sake of the receivers. And he said, on my daddy's grave, I hit Massaquoi with about half of what I had to deliver. I was just trying to dislodge the football on a receiver. It wasn't like hitting a running back in the hole. So he was shocked that he got fined $75, which finally got reduced to $50. But he also said in the podcast that he then had to go talk to the commissioner in New York. And along with him came the GM of the Steelers, Kevin Colbert. And James said he didn't know Kevin Colbert that well. They hadn't spent that much time around each other. And he said he was shocked to find that Kevin Colbert was, to quote James, an assassin, that Kevin Colbert went after the commissioner even harder than James did to defend James in this hit. And that, remember, Mike Tomlin at the time, there was no flag thrown on the hit, so it went unflagged. And Mike Tomlin said right after the game that he believed that was a legal hit. So Kevin Colbert, your GM, Kevin Colbert's fighting hard for you in the commissioner's office. And now the chronological story evolves where now he goes back to Pittsburgh. The fine sticks, and I think it was reduced to 50. And then he said the G's thing that the Coach Tomlin ever did for him was he comes up and says, here, this is for you. And again, I didn't take that as a bounty. I'm taking it as we tried to fight for you because we thought you were within, they were just paying the fine. It would have been, I don't know if it'd be the full 50, but maybe it would be half of it. I don't know. But I took it to mean they were paying the fine. Well, as you point out, that's also illegal because it's a salary cap violation. You can't just give players more money than the cap will allow. So that's out of bounds too. It's not as out of bounds as a bounty program. So I'm not seeing bounty. I'm just seeing we believe you were okay. You were inbounds on this hit. So we're going to help you on this one. We're going to pay a portion or all of the fine, whatever it ended up being. And remember, Shannon, the irony of this was, in the end, James and Mike Tomlin fell completely apart. Remember in 2017, I think it was James's third time around in Pittsburgh, and he went back because he said Mike Tomlin promised him he'd play around half the snaps. He said it was between 40 and 60% that he was promised, and he was playing none. Some games he didn't even dress, so he would fake falling asleep in meetings, and then he just, if he wasn't supposed to suit up, he would just go home and watch the game at home on television. And he was trying to act his way out of Pittsburgh, which finally happened. So he doesn't have a lot of good things to say about Mike Tomlin, which is why he said the G's thing that Mike ever did for me was way back in 2010. So I tend to believe it. Yesterday, Sean Payton said, the NFL's not going to do anything about this. He said, don't hold your breath. They'll sweep it under the carpet. It happened so long ago. I think they'll just look the other way. Obviously, Art Rooney said that I am very certain nothing like this ever happened. Well, okay. I don't know. I'm just going to stand my ground here to say I do believe in James, and I don't believe he would lie about something like that.
Skip, I think the thing that will happen is that when you're telling a story, and I do believe James could have decapitated him because if you look at it, Skip, he was just standing there. If he'd have had a running start and put his helmet under Massaqua's chin, it'd have been over for sure. So he just hit it with his shoulder. But because James has such a low center of gravity, Skip, he's a big man, but he's short. So even when Massacua was ducking, because he saw him at the last second, he still couldn't get up under the blow. And so James, and it kind of evolved from there, Skip. And so I understand, he gave me, and like you said, it could have been like, look, we fought for you. And that was the thing, Skip. If they go fight for you, even if it doesn't, at least you fought for me, bro, we good. At least I know I got you in my corner. I'm not going to put you in harm's way now, Skip. That's like you. You fought for your boy to get me on Undisputed. I can't put you on blast at no point in time ever. You fought for me, bro. We good. Well, no matter what transpired, we good. Skip Bayless, my dog. James, you got to no matter what transpired between you and Mike Tomlin, at least at one point, they fought for you. And remember, they gave you opportunity after opportunity. Now, you cashed in on that, being an all-pro, being Defensive Player of the Year. But nah, you can't turn your back on them and put them in a situation now. I don't know, Skip. Maybe Roger Goodell called him and said, hey, all right, come here, let me talk to you. We ain't never gonna happen, but do you believe that happened? Nah, Roger. Now, we're a stand-up organization. We would never do anything. That's what I figured. Okay, get on up out of here. But James put the Steelers in a very uncomfortable situation. He put Mike Tomlin in a very uncomfortable situation. And when they come back, Skip, they're going to ask him about this. Now, this might have happened 10 years ago, and then by the time the media get an opportunity to talk to Mike Tomlin, it might be 10 weeks. But they're going to ask him about this.
They will. So, look, in the end, Do I believe it happened? I do. I don't know that. It's just my gut feeling knowing James. But it was wrong for him to bring it up because it does no good for anybody. And as you say, it unfortunately puts everybody in a tough spot.
It does.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. All right, I want to go back to Michael Jordan because Sunday we got the last 2 episodes of The Last Dance. Shannon, how are you going to handle this? It's all ending. What can we expect? Let's discuss now.